Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out Ondo's price chart. And unfortunately, what I was afraid of pretty much played out in Ondo. Now, before we talk about this specific chart, let me tell you about my way of analysis in the next, I'm gonna say probably minimum 50, maximum about 80, 90 days. You see, let's just go around here. If you want to be bullish on any chart and you want to say, yeah, you know what, maybe we are going to start a magnificent bull run, then okay, off of the lowest low, you at least need to be able to find 5 wave up followed by a correction down, which is going to take a bit of time. And from this point until about, I'm gonna say maybe maximum February of 2026, every single time that I'm seeing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I am going to be really optimistic and call first things first for a bit of a move down and then a rather strong move on the upside if in this phase I'm able to find some good solid structures. So it's very important for you to understand that we are actually getting into that period of time where altcoins historically do have a habit of outperforming BTC for quite a bit. So the first important and very much clear bullish sign that you are seeing, you should definitely follow it and check out the structures one by one by like very specific details. Now, this is a clear-cut example of having a beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I just go on 15-minute time frame, by the way, this is actually Telcoin's chart, and in our initial move on the upside in TL, what did we get? As you can see, a very strong move without a lot of overlapping of the waves. And in terms of Elliott waves, this is absolutely 5 wave up followed by a slow move down, which took about, let's just measure it from this point to about here. As you can see, took about 650 days on 15-minute time frame, which was about, let's say, 6x more than this initial move on the upside. And essentially on a higher degree, this was a 1-2 setup. And since we were in that period of time where altcoins again do have a habit of outperforming BTC, well, okay, we were like, yeah, you know what, maybe it's best to count on a rather good move on the upside. And if I just measure this move from the lows to about the highs, this is so far about a 140% move up, which is not that bad. And in Ondo, the idea sort of kind of was pretty much similar. You see, I was saying, okay, from this point, we can argue this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into wave 3. And in the previous update, specifically, I said, look, I want to see a consolidation for 4 followed by another move up into wave 5. And if in this move we manage to, with authority, get back above this important level, which the higher band of it is about 72.9 cents, it would be like a really bullish sign. And maybe after a period of consolidation, something like this, I am going to call for like a very strong move on the upside. Maybe like, I don't know, let's say a 200 to 400% move up. That was definitely in the cards back then. However, what happened? Unfortunately, we failed to consolidate in here and get another move up, and instead we got a rather good move on the downside. Now, here's a very important point. I guess in Ondo there is still some hope, and yes, maybe you are still going to be able to argue that as opposed to this point, this is going to be our wave 3 followed by a correction for 4 and another move on the upside into wave 5, and followed by that we are having a bit of a correction and structure down. But two very important things. If you want to count on this scenario to play out, what you need to see from the current point and not a whole lot lower is actually a rather strong bounce in form of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order to take this high. And again, I'm gonna say it, reclaim this very important level, which the higher band of it is about 79 cents area. If we are not doing that, okay, I'm actually going to call for another move on the downside, and that brings me to point number 2. You see, if this is a 5 wave up, well, okay, if we were seeing in here a bit of a slow and choppy move on the downside, well, maybe I was able to tell you, yeah, you know what, we are looking decent. However, let's just measure this move down from here to about the lows. This move so far is taking us about 250 candlestick, and as you can see, Also, in about 250 candles, we got this move on the upside. So it seems like that bulls aren't really that powerful. And that's why I think we may end up seeing in Ondo a bit of a continuation of our move down in order to take this important low. Now, is this going to be such a bad sign? And does this mean in Ondo we are going to have a massive crash? No, it doesn't really mean that. In fact, in terms of classic technical analysis, meaning support and resistances, we do have some support in here. So I'm going to argue generally downside might be quite limited. However, what I do care about is actually the upside. You see, if this is going to be a 1-2 structure, well, okay, I think we can all agree that we don't really have to waste any more time, and we just simply can get like an absolutely insane move up into wave 3, 4, 5 and ignite our bull run. On the other hand, if we end up getting a continuation of the move down and take the loss, well, at that point, just building that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 followed by a correction setup, this specific phase is going to take some time, maybe somewhere between 2 to potentially, even if we are not that lucky, 3 weeks. So essentially you are going to see a couple of weeks of absolutely boring consolidation pattern in Ondo, and I know nobody wants to see that, but hey, guess what? The market doesn't really care about what you, I, or for that matter anybody else thinks. The market does what it does. We are just here to analyze it, and based on what I'm seeing in here, well, unfortunately in Ondo we may see a bit of a move on the downside. And let's go on weekly time frame, check out some indicators, and then we're actually going to go on some lower time frames and talk to you about a very important sign that based on it you can identify whether we are going to have that move down or not. So in weekly time frame, first things first, let's just hide everything. As you can see in here, bears really tried to pull the price all the way back down here, but bulls in the previous week actually stepped in a little bit and pushed the price a bit higher. Now, if the current candlestick would have been maybe like a green one, that would have been like a really bullish sign, since in the previous week bulls did actually intervene. But this thing right now in my view is not an optimistic sign, because it is telling you despite bulls intervening in the previous week, bears were still very much in charge, and they just managed to pull the price once more all the way back down to these levels. So in terms of candlestick analysis, not necessarily looking optimistic. What about some indicators? Okay, so let's just do this. As you can see in MACD, unfortunately we still have this sell signal, and in SOC RSI we still have this signal right in here, and the fact that we are around the oversold area in my view does suggest that bears are running out of steam. But as long as you are not seeing a buy signal in here, I still believe that overall you need to be just a little bit more patient and careful. Now, what is going on in daily time frame? Okay, as you can see, well, the situation is pretty much the same, meaning we are having sell signals in here in these two indicators at the same time. So maybe our move down is going to continue a bit. And let's go on H1 time frame real quick. There we go. So maybe it's actually best to go on 30-minute time frame. Yes, no, I'm gonna say probably H1 time frame is a little bit better. Okay, what do you have in here? On the live chart, you are having a series of lower lows. On the other hand, in MACD, you are actually having a series of higher lows. So this can be a bullish divergence for you, which you might say, well, okay, this is definitely a good sign suggesting we are quite close to reach to our final. You know what? Maybe it is going to be that. But if I'm right, and in Ondo we are going to get just a little bit more continuation of our move down, well, you need to just be a bit more patient and see, are we going to get a break of this very important divergence line in H1 time frame or not? Because if we break it, well, okay, number one, the divergence itself is going to get invalidated, and number two, as a result of the break of the divergence line, we can count on actually like yet another great strong move on the downside. So if you want to know whether we are bullish in here in Ondo or not, I think all eyes for now at least should be on this important divergence line. Get a break of it, our move down is going to continue. Most likely we are going to take the lows, meaning the recovery phase, and by that I'm talking about building that 1-2 setup that we talked about a couple of minutes ago. It's just going to take some time and you have to be more patient. On the other hand, if we are not going to get a break of this thing, and from these areas we are going to get like a very strong bounce in form of a 1 2 3 4 5 without a lot of overlapping of the waves, that can be like a really bullish sign, maybe even confirming this 1-2 setup. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Ondo's chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.